Welcome back to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and I have a really exciting show here today with a returning guest, Craig Campobasso. But before we go there, why don't I put into the chat my book, Making Contact, is up for a book awards, and I want everyone to vote for it. If you go to this thing in the live chat, you can vote for my book awards. I'll also give that to you here, Greg. And I am really excited to talk about UFO Hot Spots because it does seem like we are getting more and more sightings every day. Even the government has admitted there's more sightings. So
yes,
to start, basically, are the hotspots increasing? Are our visibility? I mean, this is such a hot topic. What's going on with our visitor friends?
well, the hotspots are definitely increasing, but the book, the UFO Hotspot Compendium, the one that I just did for MUFON, is based on actual MUFON hotspots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So before I started writing the book, we had the head of MUFON, Dave McDonald, sent out a thing to all of the state directors to nominate their favorite hotspots. And then what I did is I picked them from there, and then I worked with the actual MUFON investigators on a lot of these to get the most updated information on certain hotspots. So really what the exciting part of the book is you get the when, the where, the entire story of what went on during that time. And then you also get the things that you can do when visiting that hotspot, what you'll need when you get there. And for instance, if you were going to the very first one listed in the book, it's Giant Rock and the Integratron, is that if you wanted to go to Giant Rock, I actually have an actual guide who is a tour guide who is the historian of Giant Rock, and she will take people out there for night watches, etc. And if you wanted to visit the Integratron, you have to go and make an actual reservation. You just can't walk in. So you're going to get all of this information beforehand of exactly what to do. So yeah, and they are.
I just want to say, people who don't know, the Integratron was built by George Noory, actually had a visitation from an ET who tell him to build this this time machine, he called it, time regeneration. And actually, I produced a film about him called Calling All Earthlings. Do you know that film?
I did see that film. I didn't know that you did that. Yeah, that's great. The executive
producer on that by Jonathan Berman is the film. But the strange thing about the George Van Tassel story is that he mysteriously died right before he can finish that, and all his papers were confiscated. Did you know?
Yes, we have a lot of stuff from the Integratron archives. I am very close to a woman who was with him when he began channeling underneath Giant Rock. So
yeah, who is that woman? Who is that?
Her name is Athena. Back then, she was known as Denise Ebersol. Denise and her husband were very close to George, and with both his wives, you know, the first being Eva and the second being Doris. So she was there all the way through everything. So we had a huge recollection of that. Also, I was friends with Bob Short, who was there from the very beginning channeling. George was the very first person to ever channel Ashtar, by the way. And and then Athena began channeling Ashtar much later. And also Bob channeled another being named Commander Corton from the command, the Ashtar command, as they called it. And we actually brought him back there well over 10 years ago with his wife Shirley to film him, to just get this recorded so it would be on tape forever, right? And so we brought him to actual Giant Rock,
I'd
and
love to see that. Where is that tape?
well, a friend of mine has the tape, which nothing's been done with it. It's still, we just wanted to make sure that we had it for preservation, and that kind of thing. But I'm sure at some point we will do stuff. And we went and we interviewed and talked with Daniel Boone, who was one of his wife's, one of his daughter's husbands. And
Right.
at that time, and he did see the ship land, when George did that, because he heard it, and he talked about lots of other craft that they see in that vicinity all the time. So the cool thing in the book is I took all of George's descriptions of Salgonda, the being, because there was one in this interview, one in this, and I pieced them all together and had an artist actually create what Salgonda looked like, which I put in the book.
That's in the UFO Hotspot book?
Yeah, that's in the UFO Hotspot book.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, before we go a little deeper into hotspots, because I want to find out all about that, I want to say that Craig, along with a few other people, are part of this upcoming weekend called Ancient Galactic Wisdom Conference. That's January 28th to 29th, 2023. You can sign up at portaltoascension.org events. I'll put that in the live chat too. But it's going to be a fantastic conference with a lot of people. You might know some of them, Greg, like
of course I do. Yes.
Vivian Shea, right?
Of course I do. I love her. I just love her.
Who I have here, who you might not know, is Chris Griscom. Do you know her work?
She sounds very familiar.
She was the first galactic ambassador in the 80s or 70s, before anything new about it. She runs the institute, the Light Institute in Galisteo. She does a lot of past life regressions, but she's always talking about galactics. She was the one who brought Shirley MacLaine back to her
That's
past.
right. That's right. That's where I know the name from. That's where I know that from.
She is a fantastic presenter. I mean, she's been doing this longer than most people are alive. So, she's going to open the whole conference on Saturday, the 28th. So I recommend people speaking for the whole conference. Craig is speaking Saturday, and also Jody Sirota. Do you know Jody?
No, I don't.
Oh, Jody's a channel from the East Coast, but quite a high being. And this woman, Hope Fitzgerald's a friend of mine. She brings in this being called Tak, whose planet was exposed to a solar flare. And he talks all about what it's like to be, when that happens to a planetary civilization. But and what are you're going to be speaking about the hotspots on Saturday?
I am going to be speaking about the hotspots, and I'm also going to bring forth a hotspot that's not in there, which is a current everyday hotspot in which the Navy and other things are actually going after these craft, and it's caught on film. So I will share all that information with everybody on Saturday. I think I'm speaking at 1:00, just for everybody.
When you say an everyday hotspot, you mean there are UFOs showing up there every day?
Every day. Yes.
We want to say it for the conference, but is it offshore or is it on land?
It's a little of both.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well,
and it's not San Diego.
I was going to say San Diego.
It's not San Diego.
Okay, I think I know
what you're talking
about. I think I know what you're talking about, because it was mentioned in that 60 Minutes episode they did on UAPs. Did you see that?
No, it wasn't mentioned in there. This is pretty secret at the moment.
Well, you're going to expose that on this Ancient Galactic Wisdom Conference.
I am, yes, absolutely.
That's a reason to register now.
Yeah.
Go to portaltoascension.org and look for the Ancient Galactic Wisdom Conference. And it's going to be a
Yes.
discussion. But I am curious, how many hotspots do you list in your book?
Well, I think there's in total 35 or more. I think about 12 or 15 where the stories were so elaborate and there was so much to tell. Even the Giant Rock Historian and the Integratron that are owned by three sisters who I'm very close with in the archives. When they, I have everybody read the chapter before I turn it in for accuracy. And they said, you found stuff we didn't even know. Right.
Wow.
So I try to always do a deep dumpster dive and really get in there so that people can understand what was that entire history with George Van Tassel and how did it go, not only with things that we know that are documented, but also through his personal friends as well.
Let's ask you, are these hotspots related to power spots around the planet? There are certain places where temples were built and, the Great Pyramid and vortex points that are known. Are they related to that?
They, most of them are related to that. They're also related to military bases.
Wow.
And they're also related to remote areas that we really don't know that much about. So what we do is we kind of, like for instance, in Canada, the Shag Harbor incident, that was just something that happened. The Falcon Lake incident in Canada, that was another thing that just happened, that happened to be in that locale. Right.
Mm.
So, but we will get the whole story that went on in those things, along with, like in the Falcon Lake incident, with the drawings and things that the witness actually drew up and talked about. And then we go into what the MUFON investigators up there discovered, not only back then, but in the Falcon Lake, also most recently, which brought a whole other bunch of things to light. So,
well, are you just covering this country, or do you do?
it's America and Canada.
Oh, so you have a whole other book probably planned for hotspots around the world, because
Around the world could be another one. Yeah, for sure.
you get those lights in Sweden. What were they called? The ghost rockets of Sweden. You get places in Romania. There's so many hotspots. Of course, I guess you put the Bermuda Triangle in there, right? And
no, not in this book. I pretty much wanted to keep to interesting ones that people could travel to. I don't think anybody wanted to get on a boat and go to the Bermuda Triangle or fly over it with all the things that happen, right? This is things where we really wanted people, you can go visit, right? You can't visit Area 51 and go on property, of course, but we give you the place that gives tours that will take you as far as you can get before the gate. And they will let you come out and talk about it, and they give you a whole day tour. So, there's little things like that, but you also will get like some of the greatest hotspots where you are pretty much going to see one if you go there.
Wow,
yeah. And I'll talk about that on Saturday.
Do you personally, though, give tours? Because it'd be great to start a whole business like that, wouldn't it?
It would. It's not something that I would like to do. But like I said, in a lot of these places, I knew already a lot of the people that do give tours, that give night watches, like in Sedona. There's
Linda Leslie.
somebody, Melinda Leslie,
Yes.
she's in the book where you can contact her. She'll take you out. She's got, I think, 6 pair of night vision binoculars. So when you go out, you will definitely have a pair, and she will point them out and that kind of stuff. I've gone on many things with her as well. And then there's other people in some of these other places as well that give these tours where you can contact them and set something up if you're planning on going.
Let me ask you, have you been to Gold Hill, Oregon? You know about that place?
No, that sounds great.
Well, it's more a vortex place, but it's very strange. You have a distortion of time and space and gravity. It's called the Oregon Vortex. It's on the coast. I think it's off of I-5, but towards the coast. It's called the Oregon Vortex, and it's very strange. It's a very strange anomaly. I don't know about UFO sightings there, but there are other distortions
And things like that. Yeah, I do talk about the Montana vortex because
what's the
they
Montana?
it's similar to what you described, but they also they not only have UFO sightings, but they also have Bigfoot sightings.
Wow. Wow. And what do you think the relationship between Bigfoot and UFOs are? Lots of people speculate about that. Did I lose?
If you're one person standing here, one person standing here, and if they were the same height, one looks smaller than the other. So, so there's lots of little anomalies in these really high vortex places.
But what is the relationship between Bigfoot and UFOs, you think?
Well, here's what's interesting. I don't study Bigfoots a lot, but a lot of times I will talk about the places where Bigfoots are spotted in some of these UFO hotspots, especially a female albino Sasquatch, which is really interesting. And when they spied her, for instance, there would be a saucer above her, right? They wouldn't see it. They would only see it through the camera. You see, so it was like interdimensional. And what's interesting, like on like Finding Bigfoot, with Ronnie LeBlanc and they have a 3-4 person team on, I think it's on History or Travel Channel. They see a lot of times anomalous lights in the forest, and then they hear it, and it almost makes me wonder, because so many people have talked about how Bigfoots are interdimensional and can pop in and out, and it makes me wonder if these anomalous lights are sort of like their portal of going in back and forth, right?
Well,
so
there are areas of anomalous lights, the Marfa lights, those places in Texas, Brigg Road. Have you heard about that place?
Yes. Also, Skinwalker Ranch as well. Also on Mount Adams well in Trout Lake.
Have you been there?
ECETI. Of course, I've been to ECETI Ranch.
Really do see things there. I mean, you can't believe they come right out of the mountains, these lights.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing.
What is that? Because are they physical ships that are emerging?
No, here's the thing. Nobody knows what the anomalous lights are. Nobody even knows. They have studied the Marfa lights. Nobody really knows. I would assume that our government knows what these kind of strange lights are. But I have never heard anybody give a explanation of what those are. Now, we have seen ships going in and out of mountains, in and out of ground, and that kind of thing. And, they look like plasma, and they're shifting because, they're literally shifting out of third going into fourth so that they can take the body of the ship and themselves through solid ground. And when they get to their destination below ground, then, then they pop back to 3D. So we see that a lot going in and out of mountains and stuff, especially Mount Shasta.
Well, also in Scandinavia, in Hastalan, there's a place that has those same lights. I think I mentioned it last time. So those strange light things are all over. But let me ask you the question I've been thinking about a lot is there an altered state in these hotspots? You know about the Oz effect, right? When people see a UFO, their consciousness shifts. Is there a relation there in these hotspots to that phenomenon?
There definitely is. And I will talk about one of the biggest hotspots that a lot of people don't know about that has all kinds of anomalous things happening. And that this has happened in this actual place, and that they actually have missing time as well.
Wow. You're not going to tell us now. They'll have to watch the program.
No, you're going to have to wait till Saturday. Even you, Alan.
That's okay. I think it's a good way to have people sign up for the conference there Saturday, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to see or talk because, here we've talked a few times, but I'm going to see it now. So
good.
What the whole thing shows us is there's so many more mysteries left to be discovered on planet Earth. Science thinks they figured it all out, but they don't even know what a UFO is. I mean, the government's saying we don't know what it is. That's one of the reasons I wrote this book from multiple perspectives, because nobody really knows. You ask Louis Elizondo, he doesn't know what it is. Something's there. Hotspots are real. Anyone can go to any of the places Craig mentions and have an experience, but we're so primitive in our development that what's really going on? There's no real science because science has been afraid to look at this, but I think that's
it's interesting in the advanced races, they're because they are completely 100% spiritual, in communion with the creation itself. So they call themselves spiritualists, which is a combination of science and spirituality, because they know that everything comes from creation. Right. And so they study it from that standpoint. And that's how they come up with all different kinds of new technologies and all kinds of really amazing things.
Who is that you're talking about? Who does that? What group?
Well, a lot of the races, like this is my book series. I have 4 books out. This is the first one. It's called The Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga. The first book is called I Am Tehran. He's a Pleiadian. And it's these are all totally channeled books. I had a 2-year waking process. I think you and Joan and I talked about it before. And then afterwards, my otherworldly guides, which they don't consider themselves otherworldly, they were the ones that said, now sit down, it's time that you write the books you came here to write, and don't edit, don't stop, keep going. So all of these amazing technologies and how they work and how they use them is shared with the whole galactic kingdom. All the star nations have the same technology. They may just build their ships to look a little bit different. When they come up with a new one, it is shared with everyone. So that's pretty cool.
I just want to go back to what you said before about science and spirituality, because what our science is ignorant of is there is a science to incarnation, to the spirit. And it's a science. If we could look at it as a science, as opposed to a mystical, vague understanding, we'll start to understand who we really are, and that there's logic, in a sense, a higher logic to this experience,
Yes,
the experience, and to these
it
beings.
is.
So
It
we
is.
change what we think of as science.
Well, I think so, and I believe what I've been taught is that Earth is a school. We all incarnate. We will be every race, creed, color, religion, sexuality, everything, so that we will have a full encompass of it when we graduate off of Earth. And I really do believe in soul groups, because I really find, you just meet somebody, you fall in love with them immediately, you don't know why, and you both are just, my whole body's ringing with chills right now, right?
Right.
Because you just know, like you and Joan and Neil were all like that for me, like the second, right, that I
And
saw you.
Tanya and Frank,
Yes, of course, of course. Tanya and I bought the second Tanya and I met, we were inseparable.
me too,
So
when
yeah,
I met Tanya. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely, absolutely. So
But you know what
so
oh, go ahead. Well,
no, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, because what I get for you is that it feels like you've come from those other worlds now with this, like you're very
Yes,
connected to
yeah,
that.
I
And
am, yes.
yeah, talk about which world you're connected to, which beings you.
I identify with the Pleiades. When I had my spiritual awakening at age 26, um the minute I heard the word Pleiades, I literally sat down and I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And and I was feeling like I was missing home. And I didn't really even know what the Pleiades were. I had to go look it up after, the next few days and things like that. And so I have always identified with that, and a lot of my guides are Pleiadian, and and bring forth information. After I had this,
Hmm.
like I said, when you meditate, it's like being on a mind internet in the cosmos, because they will pop in. And sometimes they'll just smile and give you their love. And other times they will give you a metaphor. And other times they might guide you towards something. So it's like when I write books, they come in and they share their feeling body with me. It's like a part of their telepathy, right? Is I get to feel who
Hmm.
they are on the inside when they are describing what's happening when, in a certain section of the book. So I literally get to become their own thoughts.
But you're also transmitting back to them. It feels like
Yes. Yeah.
human experience. So you've been sent on a mission to be this bridge between worlds. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. You
And
could look at it that way.
well,
Yeah.
maybe. I mean, I don't know what your mission is, but it definitely seems like it's a mission to make conscious awareness of our relationship to the
That's
Earth's
right.
relationships to.
It's to bring it so people understand it from more of a spiritual standpoint and not a fearful standpoint, in which this world is trying to make it look in a lot of ways, shapes and forms, through movies, television, things like that. They're not coming here to eat us. They're not coming here to take over our planet. They're not, they're waiting for us to evolve. That's why there's so many consciousness raising programs, right?
Mm.
Star seeds, everything.
So once there, what will happen? I mean, just hypothetically, you feel once we have this awareness, once it's common knowledge, once it's populated with this interfacing, what will change? How do you see the future?
Well, I think in the once the world once the world shifts in consciousness, right, that there'll be a tipping point, and they're already what they call the seventh ray race, which is they are part human, they're part from Earth, and they are part from the cosmos, but they're raised up there, and they're born dualistic, and they learn how to overcome duality as they're raised up there. And when they become fully conscious, they could come and then live here on Earth and work in jobs to help raise consciousness. But also, when it shifts over, these beings will be placed all over the Earth to sort of be these ambassadors to help people along with everything so that they understand it. And people, that, you know, the reasoning behind it is people are not going to be fearful because they look just like us. They are part us, and they are part them out there as well. So, I mean, I've known many hybrids here, right? Including
Right.
Vivian.
Right.
And I mean, they are just unbelievably, amazingly smart and loving and so caring.
But we are also part of the ambassador team. I think that's why
Yes.
the books are, and
Yes.
I wrote that
Yeah.
book. So
Yeah.
when do you think this may happen, this real awareness of that? Most people are just sitting at home watching the football game, but when do you think this mainstream awareness may happen?
I have no clue.
But
No
it's,
clue.
I
No
mean,
clue. We all pray it's soon, but nobody really knows when that tipping point in consciousness is going to happen.
but these conversations, this conference coming
Yes.
up, your books, this book I wrote, it's all part of a preparation for
Yes.
these what we call new realities that
That's right.
will totally change the way we think about ourselves, the world, our place in the cosmos, the purpose of human incarnation. I think it has the potential to change everything we have assumed to be true, including our history, our biology, our relationship, that we're not the freak of nature that Darwinian science says we are, but we're part of an emergent property of life. I mean, the universe is made of life and
Yes.
consciousness. So that's really exciting. So what else do you have coming up? I mean, you wrote this great book, a couple of great books. What else?
I did. Right now, I'm writing prequel books to the autobiography of an extraterrestrial saga as well. All the books are have artwork. I create all the artwork for all the books with a wonderful artist. And with Frank and Tonya and I are putting together the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac documentary, which is nearing its first long completion. And we're all producing. I'm directing it. And of course, it's from the book that everybody knows. That's
Yes,
done
that
really,
is
really well.
that is doing
So
very well.
it's
Yes.
so exciting because we've got the experts, we've got hybrids, we've got actual contactees who are in face-to-face contact with extraterrestrials, advanced beings, etc. So the documentary is going to be totally different than what anybody has ever seen. It's not going to be your usual suspects.
Great. Wow, Craig, you are doing great work to move
Thank
the
you.
ball down the field. So eventually
Yes.
we'll come home and Craig will be part of this big event happening this weekend that now
Yes.
I'm going to attend because he is going to reveal some major hotspot secrets there. And this is the Ancient Galactic Wisdom Conference. It's on portaltoascension.org. Lots of great people besides Craig, Phil Gruber, Chris Grissom, Hope Fitzgerald, Vivian Chavez, Jody Sirota. There's just some friends of mine. So and Victoria Reynolds, who has some interesting things to say. I think you'll enjoy some of these other guests. So, Craig, definitely come and be there as long as possible. And I'll let you know about there should be a panel at the end of the day. So I'll definitely let you
Okay.
know. And
Yeah, let me know about that.
maybe I'll see you with the Hurtaks in LA. So stop by.
Yes, I'm going to definitely try and come to that. I want to see you all.
Definitely we'll meet. Tanya will be there, and all our favorite people will be there. I think there's a UFO panel going on there as well.
Yeah.
So thanks for your time. Really looking forward to hearing you on Saturday.
Me too. I can't wait.
Great. And I'm Alan Steinfeld. You can subscribe to this channel. Thank you, everyone, for the online chat. Oh, and vote for my book, which is right there. Did I put it in the chat?
You did right in the beginning. It was in there, but you might as well stick it in there again.
There, but I'm just saying this book, Making Contact, is up for the book awards at the Conscious Life Expo. I'm just going to put it in the chat on my my channel here. So let me just get in there and go there and vote for Making Contact. I'm going to put it in the chat right now, which is right here. I have to get it on my phone, and here, vote right now for Making Contact. Here it is. It's in the live chat on YouTube. Thanks for your time, Craig. And,
thank you. It was so much fun.
Let's do this again, because I think
I'd love to.
You have a window into a certain perspective where there's no doubt in your mind, this is real, this is happening, we are engaging the phenomena, and yes, it's so certain for you that it's refreshing to talk to someone who's so focused on bringing this information to the public. So
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's from, lots of years of research, being an experiencer, experiencing things, and just knowing that there are so many different realities and we're interacting with all of them.
Yes. And that's one thing I do get into, is that how reality shifts when we actually make contact with these beings. Why do you think that is? I'm just curious what you think.
Because we're shifting, and once we make that contact, they're here to help to elevate us. So they're going to engage with us as long as we will engage with them.
Well, my idea, and maybe you should put this in your movie. I'd be happy to be in the movie if you had room for that, is that the star that these beings are from calibrate consciousness to a certain frequency. And when we interface with these beings, their consciousness and our consciousness are different rates. So we have to shift, or they have to shift, basically to meet the level of consciousness they're at, because our field is so distorted by the conscious awareness. It actually creates a field that it's hard, well, at least for me, to stay conscious in the presence of these beings because of their frequency of consciousness. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And that's why I went through 2 years of elevation for writing, to be with them, because, in the beginning, my body would just ring with chills for like 15 minutes. Right. But, what's also interesting is Darryl Anka, who channels Bashar, who is a being 300 years in the future. I've done a couple of movies with Darryl, and he's in our documentary as well.
He wrote a chapter of my book as well.
Oh, that's great. That's great. We love Darryl. But Bashar comes to him, right? And they had to get him elevated to a point where he could accept it. So that's why the first movie I worked with him on, that I cast, because I'm a casting director during the day, was Bashar First Contact. So it's his whole story. It's really great. Yeah, it's great.
It's a great movie.
And we did recently Alienated, and that's a little sci-fi film about alien girl who comes to Earth. And both movies are on, I think, Amazon Prime.
Right. I haven't seen
Yeah.
Alienated.
Yeah, it's very cute. It's on Amazon Prime for sure. You can watch it for free.
I should show you my movie. It's not a UFO, but it's a kind of metaphysical drama called Never Wear a Dead Man's Shoes. So
Oh, I'd love to see it. I would love to see
we'll link to that. It's
Okay.
spiritual comedy, and I know you're a funny guy. But one more thing, do you think it'd be good to rate the frequency of consciousness for each of the beings? Just to see what caliber we need to be at to interface. That's just an idea I just had just right now.
I think everybody, what you do is you just meditate every day. You work on yourself personally. Remember, your emotions are the thing that are going between your dark and light, that are trying to get your equilibrium going in a simple sense. So that means if you are quick to temper, quick to judge, quick to yell, you got to work on that. You got to start working on all of your things. You can't just be a reactionary person. You have to sit back. I always say, look at it this way. When you die, you have a life review. And in that review, you feel everything that you made every other person that you came in contact from the beginning to the end of your life. So your time spent on the other side, you don't want being mending, that you have to mend fences with all these people, whether they're on the other side or on this side. That's the same way that it's like in these extraterrestrial worlds of fully conscious beings. They are fully conscious. When they share something with you, they share everything with you. You feel it in your feeling body. And so that's what spiritual elevation is all about. And that brings you a more immense love when you get to these points. So just keep focusing on love, keep focusing on meditation, keep working on yourself. I mean, I had to do all that work way back when. I still do the work, and sometimes I'll get angry and I'll just say, okay, I'm just going to go meditate. And you know what? I don't have to deal with any of this until I'm ready to. And when I'm ready, then I will have the conversations. Right? I want everyone to think of it like that.
No, I think that's a really important point to mix this idea of extraterrestrial contact with spiritual evolution. I think a lot of the government and mainstream scientists miss that, and they're very connected to evolution.
Yes, they are. And there are some people in the government who are having ET contact.
Absolutely. And we can't hear who they are, but I'm sure it's going to happen. Well, thanks again. I'll send you a few things. I'll send you the PDF of the book, and we'll talk soon. I'll see you on Saturday for sure.
See you on Saturday. Thanks, Alan. It's so great being with you today.
Come Saturday to this event. I think I'll just end with this event here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is Alan Steinfeld for New Realities. Subscribe to this channel and come to the conference this Saturday and Sunday. Get a copy of my book, vote for my book, but get Greg's books, UFO Hot Spots and Alien Race Almanac. Is that the name of it? Alien?
Extraterrestrial Species Almanac.
Get that one, and we'll see everyone